All right, recording has started, and please turn on your camera so that your facilitator can see you, and you are allowed to ask questions where you are not clear. So, Prashant, if you have any difficulty or whatever you want to,
Yeah,
yes,
actually, I wanted to I wanted to share the PPT as well, so everyone can know that what I'm explaining exactly.
uh,
Yeah, we can do that, right?
you can share screen from your end. Just click on that three dot button. It will show you the option. The
Okay,
three dots.
there's screen
You will
capture
see.
option is there, right? So that okay, yes, yeah,
Have you seen it?
yes, I got it.
All right, so you can go on with the class.
Yes, okay. Okay, now is it visible to everyone?
Yes, you're still audible. Yes, you are.
Okay,
Yes, please.
I'm sure that PPT is visible to everyone. Okay, let us start. So today we are going to discuss about research for films, especially. Now, when we talk about the films, I mean, we talk about many things like we talk about the acting, we talk about the cameras, the equipments we use, right? But the major thing is whenever any film is getting planned, be it a short film, be it a documentary, or be it any kind of film, or if we talk about any small films also, which for a 1 minute or 2 minute. Okay, so there has to be research behind that, right? And that what makes your films, you know, creatively good, or ethically also you can make your films very good. Your quality of your short film or film makes better. That what research plays a role here. You know, if you guys have any question or any doubt, you can ask me. Just unmute yourself and you can ask me anything. Okay. So we'll just go by some point by point. So we can just see how we can do a research and how the research will help in a filmmaking especially. Okay. So first, when we talk about the research, we have to know what is the research. Now, when we hear research,
Sorry, excuse me.
yes,
We can't actually see your screen. We can't see us. We can't see the slide.
okay, yeah, is it visible now?
Say it now. Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Can you see it now?
so
It's fitting to the screen now.
Yes, I can see.
All right, continue, please, Prashant.
yes, okay. So when we talk about the research, we most of us are very kind of kind of confused that what research plays role in the film. Okay, so first we'll know what is the research exactly. So research is nothing something new or something different stream than the film. Because films is always any film is basically a mirror to the society, right? Whatever is happening in the society, that is what we see on the screen, right? And that is why we have to research also when it comes to filmmaking, how we are going to portray these things, whatever happening in the society. Okay, it's any kind of a thing. I mean, if we take an example of two people are talking to each other, or family members who are talking to each other, and there's some kind of emotional scene is going on, right? So we know, we practically we know that this scene we have to show. But the major point comes here is how we are going to show that, right? So for that also we have to do research. Research are kind of a thing what we do every day. From very small things also. From we take if we take an example, then from when we wake up in the morning also, we do small research also, whether we have to brush first or whether we have to go to the bathroom first. So that also we are doing small researches. Now these are informal researches what we are talking about. Now when it comes to films, then we have to kind of a formal research which are related to our subject basically. It has to be in a kind of a scientific manner, and that is why it is called as a formal research basically. Okay, so these are kind of things we have to know. Like research is very important part of any film, any documentary, any short film, or whether whatever is related to the film. Research plays a very vital role. Not just an story part, but the other thing is like what equipments we are going to use to make our short film or film. Whether if we are doing individually, if there is an indie film, we call it independent film. So in the independent film, the director or if there's a producer, then what they have to do is they have to take all the decisions, right, for their film or for their project basically. So what they have to do is they have to do their research very carefully, where they can minimize their costings. Right? Whenever we talk about the independent films, basically, so they have always they have budget constraint, right? So in a limited budget, they have to make their film. And there are many examples who have made such a wonderful films in a very limited budget. And after that, when it has released in the multiplexes, and they have made a huge amount of business, and which are not expected from that particular films. But if we see that film very carefully, then the major part is their research. Whatever they are showing in their film, how they are going to show, and whatever we are seeing in their film, whether it is equipments also with the what kind of equipments they have used. If we see that also, so that is also you know very carefully researched. What thing we should use. For example, we can say that which camera we have to use. There are multiple cameras used in filmmaking, right? So we can use the mobile camera also. We can use DSLRs also, or we can use the higher cameras also, like 4K or Arri cams. Film cameras we call it, or rare cameras. So whether what cameras we can use, that also comes under the research part. And research helps filmmaking in every steps, from choosing right equipments, from choosing right lights also. Lights also, as we know, that light also plays a very vital role in a scene. From which direction the light is coming. So that we have to research. If you have a cinematographer or photographer who are photographing your scene, particularly frames, basically not scene. Okay, so they can do that. But if you are a first-time filmmaker, or if you are going to make your short film first time, then of course you have to research that also. I'm suggesting if you are a first-time filmmaker, then you should see your many short films. Firstly, you have to see, and you have to see. I mean, from my suggestion, you should at least see a short film for 3 times. The very first time when you will see that, you will see, by an audience perspective, whether you will see story, and you will enjoy it basically. What the general audience, how they are see any film, like any kind of a commercial cinema basically we call it. So how we see it as an audience perspective, right? We don't see it from different perspective. So first time you see audience perspective, then the second time when you will see this film, then you have to see in a director's perspective, or technical perspective. We can say, okay. So in the technical perspective, what you see that how this film is shot. If there is a frame, whatever you see, as we have taken an example that two family members are talking to each other. Okay, so if we are seeing this kind of an scene in the short film, let's take an example of that. So in that particular scene, what we'll see is where these characters are standing in the frame, particularly whatever our frame is, where that particular character is standing, right? And after their positioning of the character, then after that we can see that you know from which direction the lights are coming. Okay. So these are also small researches which we have to do if we are first time filmmakers, and we are, of course, if we have to do a good short film, quality short film basically we call it. So for that also, then we have to research sometimes. We have to research for the sound also. Sometimes what happens is we finalize the location. We whatever the story we choose, then as per the story we just finalize the location and then just go and try to shoot it. But major issues comes in when there's a kind of a noise, and there's a transportation is going on, whether it is a traffic signal is nearby that location, schools are there. So there are multiple noises which will be recorded, right? And for that also we have to do a research which particular mic we have to use, or which particularly recorder we have to use. There are many recorders or mics which are very affordable right now. We can buy it on the internet websites also, but there's a technique to use this kind of equipments. For that also we have to do research. Okay. So these things we have to do if we are going to make our short film for the first time. If we are I'm not saying that we have to do whether if we are doing yes. Any question? Anyone want to ask?
Sorry, Mercy Grace, your speaker is off. Are you trying to ask a question? All right, I think it was a mistake. Now, the thing I'm surprised about, which I want you to elaborate more for the participants, is that watching a film is actually a research. You can actually research while watching a film. Like you do research even while watching a film. Did you get my point? I think you need to. A lot of them may not understand it. I think maybe you need to elaborate more on it, so that you let them know what to look out for when they are watching a film.
Yes. We'll discuss that only. So firstly, if we are planning to make a film, then firstly I just said that we have to see any film for the 3 times at least. We have to see. If you are watching these films or short films more than 3 times, then that is great. I mean you will know the small nuances in that particular short film or film. But I just told you that 2 times we have seen, right? the second one is technical perspective, and third point is that is critical perspective. So critical perspective. In the critical perspective, what we do is we basically try to find out kind of a mistakes, we can say, or kind of a criticize. We criticize the film basically. So that is very kind of a last stage. We are not going to that stage, but at least we should see any film technically, and that is why we are discussing these things. Whenever we see film, now seeing film is also an kind of a learning process, right? As the sir said, that seeing film is also one of the major part. Whenever if you take any example of any filmmaker you take, from the big filmmakers are there, from the Hollywood, from in India, from the Bollywood also. So they watch many films, and many films they watch, and they are kind of inspired from that particular film. If you see it very closely, then these films are their directors. They are inspired from the different directors, right? If we talk about the Indian filmmakers, then there is many filmmakers which films, whose films are more inspired by filmmakers from the Hollywood, filmmakers from the Iran, Iranian filmmakers. I'm just getting the name of the Iranian filmmakers. Abbas Kiarostami as their, there are his name is, and he is also very influential in Indian, particularly cinemas. How he is using silence in this in his films. So that inspiration has taken by many Bollywood filmmakers. That examples, I'm seeing, I'm studying also on that particular, because my area is the research. So I keep learning these things, and trying to research on these particular things. Okay. So and that is why I'm telling you guys that research is very important. When it comes to the filmmaking, then first thing we should, whenever we see any film, you have to see in a technical perspective, and that is what makes your film. When you will make a film your own, then your film will be more technically, and if it will be technically good, then of course we call it your film's quality is good. I'm not just an the equipments you are using, but entirely your storytelling style, also your choreography, your particularly frames, also entirely. From the sound, from the acting, from your makeup, from your costumes, from your cinematography, from your directions perspective. So all these things, whatever the departments are required in the particularly films. So from that all perspective, your film will be good, or technically it will be good. So we'll just see some point, how we are going to see what exactly we have to research when it comes to filmmaking. That we'll see. Some points are there. We'll just read out the point, and we'll discuss this point as well. Okay. So what is the research we have here? Right. The research is whatever we are. If we are going to approach some new things, then of course we do informally every day, but in a formal way. If we are going to learn something new, then of course we have to explore that particular sector or particular things, right? And for that we have to research, right? If we wanted to explore any kind of issue, that also, and of course in a film, if we are going to explore any kind of issue, then we should know what is the issue exactly, right? If we are, if your short film is based on the person who are psychologically challenged, or physically challenged, then we should know their backstory also, why they are challenged, why they are psychologically they have issues, why they are physically like that. So that also we have to know when it comes to filmmaking especially. And people to ask, if you are making short film on that, particularly whatever it is. I mean, conflict can be anything. From challenges can be anything. So people who ask this question when your short film is being shown is a short film festivals, when it goes to some kind of a public platform basically, and then people do ask then why your character is like that. And for that, we have to know the answer, right? We, of course, we have made our film, then we should have that answer for that particular why, right? Or if the person asks you what that particular character is doing in your short film, why this character is like that. So for that, we have to know the answers, right? We can't just say that we don't know. We have just written the character. Right? We should know our short film from in and out, right? So from the 360 degree, we have to understand our short film or film. Then the future perspective or past perspective, if we wanted to show some kind of a future, futuristic short film or some kind of a hint, we have to give what will happen in the future or what has happened in the past. So for that, future we can show. I mean, it can be imaginary thing, right? When it comes to future, then of course we have to imagine the things and we have to make. But if we are dealing with the past, then we have to correct our facts, correct, right? The facts, whatever we are showing in the short film, that has to be correct. We can't just fool people, right? Because we have to study the history basically. Past as in, we are dealing with the history basically. So that history has to be properly. We have to convey. Right? So for that also, research is very important. Then the collection of information, right? And the research, the vital role of the research is collecting the information. That is very basic. And we have discussed these things in the past. Okay, so we'll just quickly move. Anyone have any doubt or any question? You can ask, or we'll just move to points.
If you have any question about anything concerning research, because you guys are going to make your own films, and it's talking about how to make research for films. So if you have any question concerning how you want to go about your research, you can ask maybe the kind of research to do for your film and all of that. You can ask before he moves on to the next slide. If there are no questions, Prashant, you can move on.
Okay. We'll just move on. Then we have seen what is the research now and why research is important in the filmmaking. That we'll see. Okay. Now the very first point when it comes to why the research is important, then very first is inspiration. We have just discussed that many Bollywood filmmakers are inspired by many Western filmmakers, Middle Eastern filmmakers, Iranian filmmakers. Okay, so as I just said that we have to watch many films and we have to take an inspiration. Basically. We can take inspiration. We can learn something new, cinematic style. If you talk about the Hollywood filmmakers, then they have some different styles of storytelling. We must have heard about Christopher Nolan and Martin Scorsese. So they have their own different style, right? So that different style also we can use. I mean, we can just take an inspiration from their style and try to make a film like that. So that also we can do, and for that only we have to do research, right? Everything, whatever we are dealing with something new, then of course we have to research. And that is why in the inspiration also, research plays a foundational role. It is kind of a foundation stone when it comes to research for particularly filmmaking. Okay, and it is not just an inspiration, but the inspiration, whatever you are taking the inspiration from, it supports your ideas also. You know, sometimes what happens is, uh, if you have something, means some new idea in your mind, you can. But sometimes what happens is, you have idea in your mind, but uh, you you are not sure how you are going to convey these things, and how you are going to portray these things on screen. So for that also, you can do a research, or you can watch some kind of movies. I mean, watching watching movies which are based on your ideas, or similar to your ideas. That is one of the very best way to, if you are, of course, many of you have an idea in your mind how your short film will be, but sometimes happen. I mean, it happens to everyone. It happens to me also. We have thought, but we are not able to. We are not able to convey it properly, or we are not able to understand how we are going to portray these things. So in that, the major part, or major solution is given by research only. If we are, if we watch any kind of a film which are similar to our topic, whatever the ideas in your mind, if there is a film available, has been made by some other director or commercial cinema, whatever it is. So you can just watch that, and you can take an inspiration, and you can solve this kind of whatever you are stuck at. You can be just clear this thought also by watching that film. So indirectly, what we are doing is we are researching. Okay, we are researching further for our thought how we are going to present this thing. Okay, so these are also research only. Okay, and if you talk about the research specifically, then research is there in every sector. I mean, there's no any sector where there is no research. You take education sector, you take financial sector, you take automobile, you take construction, you take any kind of sector. Films. You can take fifth is film. Okay. So film also have a research. So research is everywhere. We have to do research in every sector. Okay. So inspiration point. Hope it is clear. We will just move to another point, that is evaluation of the content. So we have to evaluate the content, right? Whatever we have writing, or whatever we have written, that we have to evaluate, right? As we have just discussed, if we are dealing with the past, or we are dealing with the history, right? If we're going to show some kind of a facts, whatever happened in the history, then of course we have to do it in a proper way. We can't, we can't just portray anything which are not happened, or which are kind of a misinformation that we can't show, right? So for that, we have to be very careful, and we have to evaluate our content, whatever we have written, or whatever we are going to show, right? For that also we have to go through enormous research, or we have to clear our thoughts, whether it is correct to, it is the correct information, or it is correct information which we are going to show, right? Whatever we have written is correct. So that we have to see. We will see some sources also for the research, that will see in some time. That will just, what we have to do is we have to evaluate our content, right, for the film. Then the second one, the third one is background research and delivery. Okay. Now, if you are dealing with some kind of a fictional, let's say your story is fictional, right? Your fictional story you have written for your short film. Now, how you are going to show that particular fictional fictional short film inner believability, or people who can believe these things, right? Okay. So give me a yeah. Okay. So, in a background research and believability, what we do is we design our content, or if we are discussing the fictional thing, right? In the fictional thing, if we are written a fiction things, then we have to relate it to our real world also, right? We can't just write something fictional, and I mean, and especially if you are making your films for the first time, in a limited budget, then you can't just go and make something fictional, which are like Marvel story, or Disney story, right? That we can't do. So whatever we have written, if it is fiction also, then we have to give it a real touch. I mean, real words touch. We can say, it has to be. It can be. It has to be related to society also. Whatever whoever is watching your films or your short film, this audience has to be relate to it, right? And that relation happens when, if your story is fictional also, and if you are doing it a proper way, or you are portraying it a good sense, then it can be believed by the people, and that is why your background research is also important. When it is, especially when we do write screenplays and script, then what we do is we give a backstory to every character, right? And from that backstory, what happens is, whenever your actor is performing on screen, then he should know that from which situation he is coming, from what background he is coming, what has happened with him in the past, and he can just portray that emotion on his face, or from his particularly body language, basically. So for that also we have to research, what background story has happened with him, your character. By this things only, your character is takes shapes. Your character is become very realistic by these small things, and for that also we have to research. Right? Now that is why we do background research, and it should be believed by the your audience, right? And that is why it is very important to do a background research and believability. Believability is basically the people who is watching your film, consuming your film, they should relate to your film. And that is very much important when it comes to filmmaking, right? And that is why we see, and I guess there is all of you have all of you have your favorite actors, your favorite directors also you must have, right? And why they are your favorite is because you must be relating to their content very much, right? You are very much inspired their content, right? And that is because their background research and their storytelling style is very much believable. You guys are relating to it very quickly, right? And that is why, because yes, you have a question. Any question?
Uh, Mofa, anybody has question about what has been said so far about research, the kind of research you need to do for your film? Anybody ask questions? Let's
Yes.
hear your question.
I just want to ask about believability.
Yes.
If I'm the one writing the script, right? Maybe it's based to what I already know, and I am now carrying out my research. Do I necessarily need to attribute what I have found out to mine? How do we attach it? Like I have my own belief and someone has. How do I link them?
Yes, of course. I mean, everyone has their own beliefs, like whatever. I mean, it is not like that. Everyone will believe whatever you are showing. Right? Everyone has their own perspective, right? But the style of your storytelling style is very much important. There's nothing about perspective here. We are not going to build any perspective. If we see any film also, commercial film also, so there are many films which don't build any kind of a perspective. They just give it to their audiences. Whatever their audience are understanding, they will take whatever they have to, right? So we are not talking about the perspective. We are talking about the storytelling style. How you are going to show that has to be improved, and that has to be a good sense, from where people should see it that is happening in a reality. If you are writing the fiction, then that is also we should make it in that kind of manner that people should believe that it is really happening. And that is why we are discussing this point, believability. Now, this is not about the perspective, this is only about the believability. Whatever your audience is believing in your storytelling style. Okay. Anyone else?
Any other questions before we move on? Ask
Yeah.
questions now. You know you are going to also make. Okay.
Yes, my question is that, like, I saw something about, like you said, about believability. So my question is, if you want to, like, write film a movie, write about a movie, a film, and then the event already occurred, but then possibly, like, the ending it was in real life is not really what you wanted, so you want to, like, add your own. But then in the movie, you want to show, like, clips of the reality. Is it possible for you to put, like, documentary, let's say a documentary of the actual occurrence in the movie?
Okay, your voice is breaking, so I couldn't hear the question properly.
Okay. I
When
think
you,
what she was
yeah,
trying to say is that if you are going to make a movie about a natural occurrence or an event that has happened in the past, and
yeah,
you now want to write it maybe to have a different conclusion. Now,
okay.
in the film, based on the research, can you use part of the visual from that natural occurrence in your own film?
Yes, of course, we can do that. I mean, there are many examples in Indian film industry. There are many examples we have seen that which are inspired by the natural occurrences. If we talk about the examples, then there's this movie named just I'm just recollect. There are many films. You just if you have search on the internet also, Indian films which are based on the natural occurrences. And the major thing is, I have observed in the Indian film industry, if there is commercial cinema, then whoever directors, they take their own liberties, and what they do is, by taking their own liberties, they are not showing the natural occurrences, right? Their films are based on natural occurrences, right? There is one film which are based on the flood issues. Basically, this flood came in the last before 2, 3, 4 years. So on that particular natural occurrences, there is one film. But what happened is that film has been made in that particular location. The story of that particular peoples who are suffered in that particular natural calamities. But the thing is, when this film has made, that director has changed everything. Only they have showed that the people are from this particular geographic area and they are suffering. But the major thing, or the major conclusion, we can say, that ending part, that is all suddenly different. Like that is not happened to the people who are actually suffering. So that also we can do. I mean, there is no limitation to our thoughts. We can take natural occurrences also as whatever that happen in actual, that also we can show, and we can just add a fiction also, or we can just add some realistic things also into fiction. So it is like we can add some real things in a fiction, or we can add in a real things. Sorry, in a fiction we can add real things, and in a real thing we can add fiction also. So there's nothing we can we say that we just have to do an fictional, or we can just take any natural person. We can take that and we can it is up to us how we are going to show, or how we are going to tell our story. Okay, is it clear?
Arafat, are you clear now? I think she's not even online. I guess
Okay,
maybe her network. Yeah, her network. Maybe she will come back. So any other person has question to ask to clarify, about story research, because you all need to have researches on your stories. You all need to do research. So if you have any question or any kind of clarification that you want done now, speak up so that you would shed more light on it.
Or we can just discuss your story also. If you have any kind of a story and you are not getting.
Okay, who is trying to? Terry Eta is speaking.
Yeah, this is Terry. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can. Good evening, and thank you very much for this opportunity. So I want to clarify two things in particular. I have researched recently, and I barely see correctional movies. There are lots of documentary movies, yeah, but there are few correctional movies. I don't know if you understand when I say correctional movies. That's movies that are being written to correct some ills in the society or in the community or in the country at large. So say I want to do a short correctional movie, and maybe the ones I was able to research out don't quite align with what I want to write. And I don't want the movie to look very boring.
Yes.
Yeah, so how do I put such film in an interesting format? Like,
okay, so
okay, let me say, for example, I've been to research on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm researching on correctional movies on children. So I get to see a lot of movies on children. They teach children things, but then there are some ills, like maybe children who are involved in bullying, children who are involved in cultism. There are not much movies in that angle. So say I want to do a correctional movie on children who are involved in bullying and cultism. How do I put such a movie out there and still make it very interesting for children to watch, and it's not boring, and as well it's a thing that people can also research on to see that, oh, things like this really exist.
Okay. Yeah. So, as I have understood your question, you have to make a short film for the awareness, basically, right? For the awareness of particular issue, let's say about children, right?
Okay.
Okay. So, when especially when we are dealing with the children, then I mean, it is kind of a very difficult to handle children first. Let me just clear that. So, uh, in a children's story, basically, we have to show children's perspective. We can just say that it has to be a sense of uh, for first we have to clear these things for whom we are going to make that particular film. Whether our target audiences are children or whether we are going to target the person or
Okay.
parents of that particular children. So that first we have to
Okay.
see. And if we are going to make our film, let's say documentary for the children, then we have to add some kind of situations or some kind of a scenes which the children will relate to it. you know. Or we can just for let's say there's one movie, it's I'm not getting exact direction, but it is like it is my Iranian movie. I'm just recalling it, the Kite Runner. You must have seen that movie. There's one
Yeah,
novel also with that.
Kite Runner. I think I've heard about. I think I must have seen it. Kite Runner. Yeah,
Yes,
Iranian movie.
yes,
Yes, I think I must have
yes,
heard about it.
Iranian
I saw
movie.
it.
Fight
Yes,
running, right?
yes, Kite Runner.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So this movie is one of the major, or one of the main example of that particular, how children will look at it. There are some scenes, which are where another uh, kids are abusing that are, you know, are lead actor, whoever is
Mm.
portrayed in that particular. So, how they have telling their own story is very important, and it is
Mm.
very creatively they have shown in that particular film. You know, so like that also we can show. They have built their own, particularly when he is in that particular film, when
Mm.
the lead character is 10 years old, and that time what happens with him, that has shown. You know, and particularly the story goes on like that only. So we have to add this kind of scenes where the children will relate to it. Whether it can be emotional scene or it can be children where kids are playing with each other, or kids are having some funny moments, or kind of this we have to add to attract the children. And as I have just said, that dealing with the children is very very much difficult. We can just address the people who are adult, but dealing with the children is very much, I'm not saying that it is not possible, but it is kind of a difficult to address children especially. But yeah, I'm sure that you are clear with your thought what you have to show, right? Only you need to finish these things. You have to clear your thoughts, basically how you're going to show, and you can just add this kind of things also, little things which are related to children's basically. And only children has to see it, that is in a manner that is, these things have happened to me, or this thing is which are we are experiencing in our daily life, that has to be there. So only then only children will attract to it. Children will think that this is the this is happening to me every day, or this is my everyday's life. So when this thing will happen, then the children will attract to this particular content.
Okay. Okay, I get the picture now. Thank you very much.
All right. Do we have any other question before we move on? Okay. I think you can move on, Prashant.
Okay. Then after background research and believability, the major part comes in the characterization. Okay, you must have heard that every film, whenever it is being made, then the characterization plays a very vital role. And why characterization plays a vital role? Then the developing of your character. If we talk about the commercial cinemas, then of course every character has their background stories, right? And then from that background, particularly that background story, their characters, you know, builds. And after building your character, like let's say demographically or psychographically, if we talk about the demographically, then of course in the demographics, we must have known that in the demographics, what is their gender is, whether they are straight or they are gay or they are transgender, or whether what is their gender is, and what is their age, what will be the age of your character. That is also very important. Whether they are old age people or youngster, that we have to understand. Then their occupation, then their class also comes, whether they are from the middle class or whether they are from the upper class, a higher class basically. That also plays a vital role, for the characterization basically. So by if they are coming from the middle class or lower middle class, then their habits uh, habits will be differentiated, right? If they are from the higher level or higher class, then their habits will be differentiated. Their movements basically, that will be differentiate their vocabulary, differentiate, right? So that is why characterization. In the characterization also, we do research these things by developing these things and the psychographics. Right? We have missed the psychographics and demographics. We just seen, and in the psychographic, we have to give a mindset of that particular characterization. What is their mindset? What your character is thinking, right? Uh, let's say if your character is from the society where the violence takes place at a higher level. I mean, there's so much violence around him or around her, let's say, and your character is coming from that particular location or that particular society, then their mindset will be this kind of, you know, or they can be opposite also, like they don't like violence, or they like to do violence at a lot. That can be the mindset there. Most of the times we have seen that there's one character who are coming from the very poor family and he wanted to study. So these kind of films we have seen. I mean, there are many films based on that particular thought. So this can be also mindset, that particular character have wanted to study. He is very studious, right? So that can be a mindset, and that is what is we call it psychological, or psychographic profile of your particular characterization. So that also we have to understand, and in the characterization, we also research that how your character will talk, how your character will walk, how your character will enact, enact to particular dialogues, or enact in a particular situation. That also we research in the particular when we are researching for the characterization. Sometimes what happens is there are, we have just taken the example of natural occurrences. You know. So in the natural occurrences, if we taken in character which are there in the society, let's say there are many films which are coming now in the India especially, and they are biographies. You know, just we can take an example of Mahendra Singh Dhoni. He is a cricketer, right? You must have heard. So on his career, there's one film, MS Dhoni. So for that also, that character, who is played MS Dhoni's lead role in the movie. So for that also they have to research how MS Dhoni is talking, or how he's walking, how he's playing, how he's hitting a shot, cricket shot. So that also comes in the research. There are many different shades in the characterization. So when it comes to characterization, then of course we have to see it very clearly. We have to go to at very small level, every small things we have to know about that particular character, right? So what he's wearing also, that is also very important. Okay, so from his costumes also sometimes his psychological process, or his class basically represents. Sometimes what happens, this thing also, some some people are coming from different geographic location, and they have their own tradition. In India, especially, we see it. I mean, there are many different tradition. I mean, every states have their uh, own traditional costume, their own language, and different. I mean, there are worldwide phenomena. I mean, there's everywhere. So these things we have to keep in mind when we are researching for the characterization. Okay, is it clear? Anyone have any question? We can just take the question, or we can just move ahead to why research is important. That is.
Do you guys have any question? Are you clear, or do we just move on? About researching characters in your film, the importance of it, and all of that.
I wanted to ask because I can barely hear his words really clearly. So is it possible we get slides or something? Some of his words
Yeah,
are really not clear, honestly.
most definitely, you're going to get the slides. I'm sure Prashant would provide us
Yes,
with
yes,
the
of
slide.
course, definitely.
Okay, so don't
Okay,
worry. So it's
okay.
just so. But if there's any question that you want to ask, or something that you want to in relation to the stories that you have that you are writing, because you all will have to
Mm.
shoot your films. So if you have any question relating to the stories that you have, how to go about researching it and all of that, so you can still ask him while he's still here, so that he can shed more light on it.
Okay, so I'm writing a story for women who have different experiences. Some who have been trafficked, some who have had gender-based violence cases, some.
Sorry. Before you go on, you're actually supposed to put on your cameras. That's the instruction for everyone, so that you're seeing your
Okay,
facilitators, you're seeing every other person. Thank you.
okay, my environment, that's why. So let me see if this works. Okay, yeah.
Mm. Okay, so are you good? Can you see me now? Oh.
I think you just left again. We saw you for a bit. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Yeah, we can.
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, we can see you
Okay.
now.
Okay, yes, you can see me now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm saying that I'm writing a story. It's basically for women who have had different experiences, women who have been trafficked, women who've had bad experiences in marriages, women. So I'm doing it in commemoration of the International Women's Day. So I don't want to do the regular movies we have about women out there. I have seen a couple of trafficking movies and movies that have to do with gender-based violence, and I think they kind of like have one stereotype. They just tell stories, but they don't really put eventualities, like how these things happen in successions. Some things don't just happen like that. There must have been a starting point and then it gets to the height. So in such a movie, in such a story, if I'm having to detail every incident, it might look long and boring. So how do I write such a story that each line or each scene is carrying exact information, no too much extras? It just goes straight to the point and it's delivering the message. Yeah, so how can I do that? Because my major problem with filmmaking is storytelling, how to write the script constructively.
Okay.
How to write the script constructively. So that's my challenge.
Okay. So the very first thing is, whatever you are imagining, or if it is the research based, whatever you have done the research. Am I audible enough?
We can hear you. Yes, we
Okay.
can hear you, Prashant. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the very first thing is you have to write your story. You, whatever you are getting, you just write your story, and then you can do one thing is you can uh, shortlist whatever is important you want to show. You know. So I'm just uh, recollecting one documentary, and this documentary is also there on the Netflix. It is documentary which has released in the last year, I guess. Athlete, you guys must have seen this documentary. Athlete, oh, athlete is there. So this is based on the abusing of the athletes basically, and these athletes are not just an athletes; they are international athletes. They are gold medalist. They are winner of Olympics. So and they are showing their careers also. I mean how their career has started and how are their career has been built, right? But the major thing in that particular documentary is now the person who are abusing these athletes, female athletes especially. Uh, Now this person was their doctor or their physician, which are whenever we see that big athletes have their own physicians also. Right? So the physicians only is abusing that athletes, and this documentary is very much realistic. I mean, of course, it is based on the real story only. Now, this is designed in that particular manner. How we are finding it very much, it is kind of we can't say that entertaining, but it is kind of engaging for us. We wanted to know that what will happen the next. What step they are going to take after this. There are many small things. I mean, after some point of time, we come to know that this can't happen. We are just in the impression that no, this can't happen. This kind of happens, but no, that is happening. And some point of in some point of movement, now these athletes have no choices, but they have to carry with that physicians also. They wanted to, if they wanted to build their career in that particular sport, then of course they wanted to keep. I mean, they want them to keep quiet and just do their work and take part in Olympics and whatever the competitions are. So this kind of things we can do. That is why I told you that whatever you are getting in your mind, just write down these things, and you have to shortlist now. After writing this thing, what as per your thoughts, what is the important to show? What exactly is important. That you wanted to shortlist first, and then you can shortlist from that also. Whatever you have shortlisted first, then after that also you can shortlist more. Then you will come to that very thin point where you will get exact what you have to show. Now it is up to you how you are going to show it. How if you wanted to do it in an engaging way, or you can take kind of a emotional way also. I mean, there are many ways. If you talk about the film, there are many ways to show your particular story. Some directors show it very emotional. Some kind of some directors show it in a very realistic way. I just gave an example of Abbas Kiarostami. He's from the Iranian director, so he has a very realistic approach to their characters. He have made many films, but I'll just give an example of one of his film, not one of, but his series of films. There are three films are there, and the name is Coker Trilogy. Now the story behind this film is the first when he shot first Coker Trilogy first. So at that time he is making a short film on the school boy, and the story and this story is based on the school boy only, and the film's name is Where is My Friend's Home. And after this film has happened, what happened is after some years there's some natural calamity came in that particular village where they have shot this particular film. And after that, they have decided that we'll go there and we'll shoot some another film there. And after shooting that another film, they have again gone for the third film also. So that also happens. And now they have done it, docu-fictional way, not just an film. They have uh, they have used some kind of a real approach also, where they have taken some kind of interviews, and they have taken some kind of real shots also. I mean, they are talking to their local people are talking to each other, and they have their own life, their own rituals they are performing. That also they have captured, and they have also add some of fictional things also. They have made up of kind of a love stories going on in that particular village. Boys very much into that girl, but girl is not responding to him. This kind of a things is also there. But the my point here to discussing these things is we have to know that how we are going to present, how we are going to tell a story, in what manner. It has to be more of realistic way, or emotional way, or comedy way, or as a genre. We know that film has many genres. 7 to 8 genres are there in the film. It can be more than that. We can just club many journeys into one also. So it can be used into your films also. Okay, am I clear?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Good. Thank you very much.
And
Yes.
in addition to what you said, I think we had a storytelling and script writing class in the morning. What you said basically, it all boils down to your style. What style
Okay.
you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
use. It boils down to your style. And
Mm.
you don't want to do it because you are writing a true life story. You now want to put it out there. You also need to look at what you are trying to achieve. Is it just
Yeah.
to is it to entertain, or is this just to evoke emotion? Whatever it is that you are, everything will have to boil down to your style. And that's the
Okay.
summary of yes. And I think there's a link of the class in the morning you can also watch. And this class also
Yes.
is going
Yes.
to
Yes.
there's going to be a link for you guys to rewatch and understand. Sorry about that, Prashant. You can go on now.
No, no problem. Okay, anyone else have any question? Okay, I guess there's no question. We'll just continue to another things. Okay, now we'll see what is the importance of research. Okay, now we have seen why research is has to be there, and what is the research we have seen. Now what we'll see is what is the importance of research. We have just discussed these things in a short, but we'll just brush out it on the things, and we'll just see in a short. Okay. Now, what happens is whenever we do research, the research majorly supports to our script, or we can say the screenplay also sometimes. After script, the screenplay comes. We make a screenplay, then we storyboard. There are many things we make for the short film, but for the first time filmmakers, we just have to keep in mind that we have to write a script. Okay. Now, if you are doing a research, then of course your research will support your script, whatever you are writing, right? So whatever you have researched on your topic, that has to come in your script also. Okay. And through that only you'll understand your ideas, how you're going to present. Yet we have just discussed that it is up to us how we are going to present, and that comes from the script, right? Whatever you have written in the script, basically, and script is written on what is it? It is written on whatever you have researched, whatever you have acquired, whatever you have information about. Now that's after that, the another importance of research is fact check. Okay, we have seen if we are dealing with the history, if we are dealing with the natural occurrences, then of course we have to give some kind of a facts, right? That has to be correct. We can't just uh, tell any information that is not correct. We can just we can't just give let's say if we are making a biography of any leaders, so we can't just tell anyone the misinformation about them, right? We have to correct our chat, correct our fact again and again, and then only we can present the information about this personalities of leaders specifically. Okay. Then the another importance of research is planning your budget. Okay. Now, why planning your budget is we have discussed in a very first thing. The research also helps in you know planning your equipments, planning your lights, planning your gears basically. You know, so the research also helps in your cost cutting basically. It helps to cost down your budget. Okay, in the estimation of your project basically entire product. If we talk about the short film, let's say short film, then if you plan or you research about the things which are required for your particular short film, then of course it will help you in plan your budget, cut down your estimation, whatever you have planned. Okay, so it can help you in cost cutting also. Okay, then the measurement of audiences, right? Now the measurement we have seen the demographics of characterization. Now we are looking at the measurement of audiences, right? We have just discussed that we have to keep in mind who are going to watch your film, who are going to consume your film, whether it is for the children, whether it is for the adult people, whether it is for the old age people. That also we have to see, right? So, of course, I mean, after the adult, there are some kind of certain films are only for the children, right? And, other films are can be watched by anyone. So, but we have to keep in mind the demographic also. In the demographics, there's age, gender, profession, occupation, income, what kind of class, whether it is uh, this film is for the masses or whether it is for the classes. That also we can know from the research. Okay. Then the geographic location also. Let's say if it is film which is made in the India or it is made in the Mumbai especially. So it is mostly the directors will cover the Indian people. It will be in the Indian context, basically, right? Or we can the director will use the Indian tradition to influence people, to influence the people, right? So that is why, and when the director will approach this, when he will know that after the research that yeah, my audiences are this, and my audiences are from this particular geographic location, then only he can approach for these things, right? Right? If he is making a film for the African people, then he can't just show that Indian tradition is going on there. People should relate to it, right? And that is why we have seen that believability, and people should relate to your content. Basically, your product has to be relatable by your target audiences. Okay. Then after that, your production plan also have, uh, research also helps you in your production plan. Okay. Now in the production plan, there's some kind of special requirements that in the particular films. I'm not saying that every film does, but there are some kind of special requirements required sometimes. Like if we talk about the Marvel cinemas, if we talk about the Disney cinemas, then there's films like Avatar or films like Titanic or anything. These are big, but we can just take it as an example. So, so for this kind of film, their production is on a very higher level, and they require a very special requirements. Like they wanted to shoot in a big chroma, they wanted to shoot in, if you talk about the Titanic, and they wanted to shoot in a big lake. Basically, they wanted to make a ship, and this kind. So these are about big cinemas, but in a small cinema, in a short film, there can be a requirement. I mean, special requirements, right? If we are making short film, which are based on the person who is blind and wanted to travel in the train daily on a daily basis, right? So there can be a special requirements, right? We wanted to uh, how we are going to show his schedule and how we are going to shoot it. In a crowded trains, how we are going to shoot it. There might be some special rigs will use in terms of cameras or in terms of mics also, recorders also. Because there will be a noise, and if we wanted to record our characters' dialogues, then of course we'll require some higher range of mics, right? Special mics for that particular scene. So that is also comes in a special requirements, and in these special requirements we will know from the research only. Okay, as we have discussed in the very first slide, we have discussed these things. Okay, hope is it clear? We'll just move to another things. Okay, now the what is the research process that we'll see quickly, and we'll move to some practical example. Okay. Now, in the research process, first you have to see your need. What exactly you wanted to research. Okay. Then first, what you have done is your need you have to understand. Once you understand your need, then you can just go to find out the background of your information. Whatever the information is available, whether it is on the internet, whether it is on the books, whether it is in your diaries, whether it is in the newspapers, whatever your sources will be, you have to check the background information, find the materials basically. Okay. Then after that, you have to read these things, whatever you have gathered, whatever you have acquired from these different sources, that you have to read and you have to evaluate these things, whether it is correct. Sometimes what happens is we got many things on the internet, but they are not liable sources. I mean, we can't trust these sources, especially the Wikipedia. I mean, Wikipedia is not the trusted sources of the research. We know that there are many people who are submitting the information for the Wikipedia, right? They continuously update these things. So, but and that is why we can't be very 100% sure that this information will be correct. Okay, we should not you know depend on this information which is there on the internet. Whether it is the research paper or whether it is the journal, we can trust this thing. But the Wikipedia and the Google, that we can trust. Okay, we have to fact check first. With if we are using this information, we have to fact check. Then only we can use. Okay. Now, whatever you have acquired after reading this information, after evaluating this information, what you have to do is you have to incorporate these things in your script or your screenplay or your story and write your story. Okay. So, as we have discussed some points in the why research for the film. So, for the information, for the evaluation, for the background research, believability, and the characterization. So, for these things, once we know from the acquiring of this particular research, we incorporate these things, we combine these things basically, and we write our script or screenplay. Sometimes we write screenplay also, sometimes directly. We don't write script, we just write screenplay also sometimes. Okay, so that also we can do. Okay, now we'll take an example of a film, and we'll see that how we are going to research and what exactly is research means for the filmmaking. Okay, now we'll go step by step. First is your need. You can see your need. Very first step. What you need exactly, that you wanted to see. Okay. If you are taking the example of Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom, this film. Okay. You must have seen this film, I'm assuming. Okay. Then for this particular film, first if we are researching for this particular film, then we wanted to first things we need to know that why you want to know. Why exactly you wanted to know about the Nelson Mandela, right? Of course, he's a leader, and his story is very inspiring, right? Now, this story has to be told to others also. We wanted to convey this story to other people, to make a film. So this why is very important when we are starting the research for it. then what you want to know. Now, what you want to know. There are different shades. If we talk about the Nelson Mandela's life, then there are many things. I mean, his life is very kind of a roller coaster kind of a life he has, right? Many different situations he faced. Now, what exactly the situation you wanted to show? If we ask, then there are many information available, right? And there are many situations which are very difficult faced faced by him, and we should be, if we are like many information is available to us. Now we have to short the information. Sometimes happens is there are enormous information is available about some person. Let's say about the Nelson Mandela. There's many information and a very huge number of information is available, and we got sometimes confused also. What exactly we have to show and what exactly we want to know, because there are many information available, and how we are going to short this down, right? So that is why we wanted to first we need to see that what exactly you want to know, what exactly you want to show in your film. Then the third question is how much you want to know. Now, how much you want to know is associated to the our second question, that is what you want to know. Once you come to know that what you want to know, then only you can say that how much you want to know. How much as in how much we can take it in a years also, and how many years of his life we are going to show. Whether we are showing his life when he's in school, whether we are going to show his life when he in independence struggle, when he is in a prison, right? So this kind of information first we wanted to clear with in our mind. Then only we can go ahead and research for our film. Okay. Now after getting this, this information, once you clear with that thought, what you exactly need, then we can do a background information research. Now, in the background information research, the first thing is character. Now, character is characterization. We have seen in some before some time, the characterization is associated to the character. How your character is behaving, how your character is talking, how your character is enacting, how your character is interpreting the things, right? How your character is walking, that also comes. Okay. Now, how your character is staring at some time, some things also comes. Every person has their own different, you know, what do you call it? The way we see to the things, basically. So that also we have different in every people. Okay. So that we have to see. Characterization we have to get. Okay. In the example of Nelson Mandela, then of course we have to know how they were talking, how they were dealing with the issues. That of course we wanted to know, right? How is effectively he was talking. So that of course comes in the characterization. Then the situations. Situations, of course, we have shortlisted the what information exactly we have to show. Then in that information, we have to short short it down to the situations. What exactly the situations we are going to show and how. Whether we have to show the situation which are that took place in his life when he was in the prison, right? So in that situation, what kind of difficulty he has, and what kind of dialogues he had with his jailer, or his fellow persons, so that we have to understand. We have to research on that particular situation also. Then the culture. Now culture is related to class and the society where from where the person comes. Right. Now in the Nelson Mandela's case, we have to understand from where he is coming and from where he has been. Right. So he is coming from the particular society or let's say family, and he is becoming the prime minister, right? So till then, what culture he has followed, how his family members are. So this kind of things we have to know in the culture. Then the psychological. Now psychological we have discussed before some time. In the psychological, what we have to do is we have to understand the psychological process of your character. Right? In the psychology, we have to know what your character is thinking, what situation. That is very important, right? And that is why we have discussed psychographics before some time. Okay. Then the psychological process, the very important thing comes is location, where these things are happening. If we talk about the situation, second point, then this situation took place where, and where, if we know that where it took place in a jail, let's say, then where exactly we are going to shoot this particular scene, then where the jail will be, whether we are going to build the set of jail or we are going to shoot it in actual jail. That also we have to understand, and of course for that also we have to research. If this location will be affordable to our affordable to us, or we can just show in a different way, or we can just show only the bars of that particular jail. That also we can show in close up. We can show that only bars are there and he's standing. So that also we can do. We can just design the shots from anywhere. But in a location, we have to research on that also. Okay. I hope, is it clear? Anyone have any question about it?
Okay. Does anyone have question about what has been said so far?
Yes.
I'm not sure anyone has question. You can continue.
Okay. Now, where we can find the materials, that we'll see. Now, in the case of Nelson Mandela movie, then of course we can find these materials in the books, audios are there, speeches are there, then the autobiography and videos are there. So these are kind of sources of the information, right? We'll see some more sources of research. There are two major sources of research. One is primary and secondary. Now, in the primary, there are photographs, videos, audios, archives, manuscripts, material, journals, letters, diaries, speeches, published books, newspapers, magazines, autobiographies, government publications, artifacts, and research data. These are primary. Why these are primary? On that we can I just gave an example of Wikipedia, which are untrusted things. But in the primary, whatever I have given, that are kind of trusted things. These are trusted sources. We can use this information in our script or in our story basically. And the secondary are kind of untested things. In that, there's internet, textbooks, indexes, work of analysis, reports, reviews, and biographies. Now, these are we can't just show, we can't just say that these are unstructured, but some kind of information are coming from the from one another to another person, and from that another person is coming to us. So these are kind of a secondary, and that is why the primary is prime and the secondary is second, because this is coming from the second and this, from the second person it is coming to us. Okay, and that is why it is kind of uncertain, and it is untrusted basically. Okay, and these are sources of research. If you wanted to research for your film, for short films, you can just use these sources basically, and it will make your short film or documentary. If you are making, it will make your documentary or short film very correct, ethically correct basically. Your information will be correct, and your of course your thoughts will be corrected. And if your thoughts will be corrected, then of course your storytelling style will be exact, and it will be designed through the real story whatever it took place. Okay, then let's move to another, read and evaluate. Okay, now in the read and evaluate we have seen that what we have to do is, we whatever information we have got from the research, we have to read it and evaluate. The in the Nelson Mandela movies example, we can what we have to do is, we have to understand his life and his history. Okay, we can't just show anything. Right? We are making a movie on the leader, which is which are there in the society, right? Which has an kind of importance in the society. So we have to read very nichely about his life and history, and that only we have to show. And we can't show any kind of inaccurate portrayal in that, or misquotation, or message and intention has to be corrected. We can't just portray any kind of misinformation and misquotation. Okay, and the creative integrity should be kept. Okay, now these are about read and evaluate. Okay, and after this read and evaluate, we'll just move to the incorporate and write. That is the very last stage of research when it comes to the scripting things. Okay, now we have reached to the scripting things, when we actually start writing the things. Okay, in that when we start writing, we do combine all the things whatever we have gathered, we have read it, we have evaluated these all things, we combine, and these ideas basically we combine and we start writing. That is why it is incorporate and write. Okay, now in that we also have to incorporate places and situations, right? I've just given idea about the situations, what situation is happening where, that we have to combine and write. Then clear out the characterization. Now this is the very last thing where we can clear out our characterization more, because we have all the ideas, we have all the information here, we have all the places where our characterization or our character will be, right? So we have to clear out our characterization once more, and we can, at the last, we can amalgamate and write this thing. We can combine, or we can just say we can merge all the things which we have got and actually start writing these things. Okay, these are the research process. Now this research process can be different from person to person. If you ask me personally, so I follow this kind of a procedure basically. If you wanted to write a script, or if you wanted to research for any particular show, then I use this procedure basically. And at the last, I'll just give some kind of a tips and some kind of a some kind of messages which we have to keep in mind when we are researching. Okay, many times what happens is, we research and we use the information actually whatever we have got, So that don't have to do. We have to figure out what you want to research on when you are going to research, and that is uh, very much important thing, because what happens is we take a topic which are very vast in a way, and we once we started the research, we are not going to the direction which we wanted to. Okay, we sometimes what happens is we start you know researching for the A and we reach to B. That also sometimes happens. So we have to figure out what exactly we wanted to research on. Okay, and then we have to develop a system for research. We have to make a particular system for the research. When you wanted to research on what, if you wanted to research on the internet, if you wanted to research from the books, you wanted to research from the newspapers, that also system you wanted to make. Okay, develop basically. Then set aside block of time for the research and then write. What you have to do is you have to set aside for set a time for the research. At this time I will do a research, and this time I will write. Most of the time what happens is we research and we write also simultaneously. But at that time, what happens is it can be a mess up. It can be a mess up sometimes. So we should just take another time for the research and keep another time for the writing also, so we can clear with our thoughts. Then another thing is talk to people. Okay, not just research on the internet or read books. We have to talk to people about it. Whatever you are researching, we have to talk to the people. There are experts, there are many scholars also which are done their PhDs, they have done their masters in that particular subjects. If we are talking about the human trafficking or women trafficking basically, so there are many people who are studying these things. There can be a many social activists which are dealing these things in a daily life. Okay, they are saving many women from the trafficking. So these are very important people which are there in the society, and we have to talk to these people which are dealing these things in their daily life, and they can give you a better and exact information about that particular things. Then you then become a mini expert, but don't write textbook and manual. Okay, just make sure you wanted to do a short film or film, and you have to write a script. You don't have to write a textbook, long speeches, long dialogues. You can't do that. It will be difficult. It will be difficult to your actors also when you will be actually shoot it. It will be difficult for everyone then. And avoid adapting, you don't have rights. Okay, now whenever you have researched and if you liked any story or any books, then don't just adapt it and make a film, because we don't have any kind of rights for this thing. If you're approaching that particular writer and you are getting that rights, then of course you can free to do. But most of the time you have to ask before using anyone's work, anyone's. It can be anything, anyone's musics also, anyone's stories also, anyone's scripts also, any characters also which are there in the real life. For example, let's say Nelson Mandela's life. In Nelson Mandela's life, there are many films, documentaries are there. But these filmmakers, documentary filmmakers must have asked their relatives that they are, making this kind of a film on his life, and after that, getting their permission, then only they might have done this film. They have done the documentary and this thing. Okay, so keep in mind this thing. These are very important things when it comes to the research. Okay, now these all are from my side. Anyone have any question? We can take the questions.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prashant. So we just have Arfat and Ferry here.
Okay.
Any questions for our facilitator before we wrap up? It seems like we got it. Arafat, Ferry, your mics are muted just in case you want to speak. Just in case you're trying to speak, it seems like your mics are on mute. Okay. I guess we are in the clear then. Thank you so much, Prashant, all the way from India. We truly appreciate your time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So, any assignments for participants? I know they already have a story. They have to write a story and script right now. So, what
Yes,
tips
yes.
and tricks would you give them?
No, very. Yeah, I just recollected an assignment which I have just given to college
Okay.
students basically, and they are also have subject of film communication, so they also need to make a short film. So the very first thing, if you are making, I hope these all first time filmmakers, right, Sandra? These all are.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the very first assignment which I'll suggest that uh, watch any kind of any film which are uh, any film you can watch, and you have to write a screenplay on 1 minute scene, you know, and you have to send it to they can post it in the group also. So we'll know that how much they can write and how they are getting the information. So they can write their own, you know. So that can be the
Exactly.
assignment.
Okay. Okay. So they're already writing a script from storytelling and script writing class in the morning. So I guess they'll just
Okay.
impute or infuse the tips and tricks you just gave them now
Okay.
into that story. I see. If you check the
If
group, you'll
you, they
see
have,
some of their stories on the group. Can you see some scripts on
yes,
the group
yes.
already? So
Okay.
please, you
I've
can just
seen
go
some.
through them. You
Mhm.
can just go through them and probably give them feedbacks on what they can do to improve
Okay.
it before
Okay.
tomorrow. Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Great. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Thank
much,
you
and
so
thank you
much.
everyone to join here.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you, everybody. Afat and Terry, can you join me in telling our
Very much.
facilitator thank you?
Yeah. Hello. I said got a question. But my question
Okay, Arafat
was
has a question.
yes. So my question
Okay. Go ahead.
I wrote my script was about like an incident that like recent, and I want to like write my own version of it. But then I don't know if we are going to like film it during production. I think it to be easy while making research for me to like gain access to the right place to film, because I feel like it's still recent and people are still bothered about the issue. So should I like make research about possible ways of filming it, or I should like look for other dimensions to rewrite the script?
Prashant, did you get her question?
No, actually, voice is breaking. Can you just tell me what exactly she
Okay.
wanted to ask?
Okay, so she was saying the script she wrote today, that it's about a recent happening in our location or environment there. And
Okay.
now she's asking if she needs to um, go to that same location to do her research
Mm.
for the shoot, or should
Mm.
she create something else for or research on other ways of reenacting that same story? What would you suggest to her?
Yeah, that will be good actually. And if you are making a short film or a documentary which are uh, the issues which are taking place in the society, that will be good. And if you are researching already on that, then I'll suggest that you will make a short film or documentary on that only.
So it must not be the same location.
Yeah, it is depends on you. I mean, it is feasible to you to go there and shoot. I mean, if it is permissible and it is allowed there, so I'll suggest you go there and shoot it. If it is allowed, just mark my words, okay? And if it is not allowed, then you can do it on another place also, which are similar to it.
Okay. Okay. What I would suggest, Arafat, I think we're having production very soon. Please keep this same question for the production facilitator so that they can tell you other ways to, go about filming. If you need plan A, plan B, plan C, and the rest to bring your story to life, the person handling productions will be able to attend to that.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, you're most welcome. Terry, are you clear? I think okay.
If I have any questions, I'll just keep for the next person. But presently, I don't have any
Okay.
questions.
Or you can drop on the
the
okay,
group.
or you can drop on the training ground. Yes, of course.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you for your
ma'am.
participation. Thank you, Prashant. Thank you so much.
So much. Yeah.
All right. Have a
Okay,
great
thank
evening,
you, everyone.
everybody. Good
Yeah.
night.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye.